Earlier this year, using Apple for my smart home was not on my radar at all. Things have changed though, and I'm starting to realize the inevitable. Apple is starting to take over. Now hear me out, that might sound a little shocking, and I know I feel the same way, but Apple is making some changes that's going to affect every smart home. And these changes might seem small now, but they're going to have major impacts. Let me explain. Alright, one of the first big changes is a major overhaul of their home app. If you use smart home devices, you probably know that an app like this might always be open on your phone, since you're constantly using it to control devices. So you want it to be fast and easy. I mean, trust me, I've used almost every smart home platform, and a well-designed app can make a big difference on how often I actually use it. That's one of the main reasons I never really used Apple's Home app in the past. I have hundreds of smart home devices, and finding things was a nightmare because everything looks like the same square box. Plus, going to each room in the app requires so many extra clicks, and it just takes a while to navigate. But Apple is making some updates, and their new Home app that's coming out has a much different look to it. Everything is now organized on the main home screen, and it's way better. Seriously, I think people will want to use the app now. The devices are automatically grouped by rooms, so it's faster to scroll through everything to find exactly what you need. This is how I prefer to have everything laid out, and normally I use an open source program called Home Assistant to manage all of my smart home devices. Everything is visible from the main dashboard, and I also have different views to narrow things down if I want to. I actually had to spend a lot of time setting that up, but Apple's new Home app kind of does that for you. There are these buttons up top that will show you only that type of device, like your lights or security devices. I didn't have to categorize my devices to use these or even make these views. It just did it all for me, and I'm really happy about this. Wait, no, actually I'm angry about this because I spent so much time setting up almost the exact same views in Home Assistant. Security cameras, thermostats, and lights. Plus it takes so much time to manually add new devices to each view in Home Assistant. In Apple's new Home app, it just maintains it all for you, and you can drag things around if you want to organize it better. Also, you can change the icons and the size of the square to find things faster. Unfortunately, the automation section still seems the same, and I was hoping that they would update it for more advanced automations, but I'm starting to doubt that this will ever happen anytime soon. One thing I was actually surprised to see changed is how you interact with devices now. On the old app, pressing on the square would turn the device on or off, and to do anything else required holding it down. Now there is a button inside the square that turns the device on and off, and pressing anywhere else on the square pulls up the extra controls. It's actually very similar to how the Home Assistant dashboard is set up, which I only view as a good thing since I love how that works. Honestly, this is much more intuitive than their previous Home app, and it really speeds things up, especially when assigning rooms for a bunch of devices. As far as spouse approval factor goes, I A/B tested both apps on the subject, and the new app led to much less threats to deactivating our smart home. You might be like, what, Reed? This isn't Apple taking over my smart home. And you're right. If it was just design improvements, then no, I wouldn't say that's the case. But there's more, and it's all going to make sense in a bit. With this new update, Apple rewrote their underlying architecture to improve efficiency and reliability for devices connected locally. As you might have heard, there's a big update coming up soon to the smart home world called Matter, and I did a whole video on it if you want to go check it out. But in a nutshell, Matter devices will be compatible across platforms and be more reliable since they won't need the cloud to work. Many of the big tech companies are working on this: Amazon, Google, Apple, and a lot more, which is great to see, and I'm excited for it to be released. But you'll still need to choose what smart home platform to go with, and some might be a better option than others. For example, Amazon, Google, and SmartThings all say that they're going to support Matter. The problem is right now their systems mainly run in the cloud, so they don't have everything running locally on a hub in your house. To work with Matter, the smart home devices have to work without the cloud. So these companies are kind of scrambling to get everything working locally, and we haven't seen if they're going to be able to pull it off or not. On the other hand, platforms like Apple and Home Assistant are also going to support Matter, but they are already running everything locally, so we know it will work well. Not only that, Apple has been improving how devices work locally. Like if the app says a device is off, it will actually be off in real life, and the app won't be getting confused. Basically, they're fine-tuning how things work locally, so they're gonna be kind of ahead of the game compared to the other companies. Also, once Matter is initially rolled out, it won't support every type of device, like video doorbells. So your options are wait for those devices to be supported one day, or control it with another platform. HomeKit might be a good option for those other devices since it already works similar to how Matter does. I mean, Matter is pretty much based on HomeKit since it was heavily influenced by Apple on how it was designed. For example, how you add devices in Matter or HomeKit is pretty much the same. You scan a QR code and then it adds the device really easily. And for a while, manufacturers might still have a QR code for both Matter and HomeKit, but eventually it will just be Matter. So I'm not saying Apple is the only way to go, but it seems like a safe bet since they are already doing what all the other companies are trying to achieve. Alright, now that you've seen some of the changes, it's time to finally answer the question on how Apple is going to take over the world. I mean, your smart home. I think. One day you'll either end up using Apple for your smart home, or if you're still using something else, it will be greatly influenced by Apple. As you probably know, Apple is usually not the first one to implement a brand new feature. They usually take their time and try to do it right. I'm not saying they always get it right, but that just seems like their strategy. Look at their new Home app design. Yes, there are some similarities to Home Assistant, but the new Home app looks better and is much easier to use. And that's the key right there. It doesn't matter if another smart home company was doing it first. If Apple makes it easy to use, then that's what people are gonna want. I mean, look at the iPhone versus other Android phones. It's a similar situation. Many people skip on the bleeding edge tech on an Android phone to go with an iPhone because they're used to it, their friends use it, and it's reliable. In my opinion, a similar thing is gonna happen with a smart home. People are gonna want something stable and easy to use. With Matter coming out and everyone talking about things running locally with privacy in mind, plus the newly designed Home app that's easy to use, it's gonna win a lot of people over. I actually think this could be a good thing for all of us because the smart home space is still very new, and Apple's influence could be beneficial to everyone, with better design, more privacy that a lot of companies could learn from, which I think we're already starting to see happen right now with Matter. But then there's still Siri, which needs some serious updates. Wait, what? Even though Siri in my smart home doesn't have all the bells and whistles, it's not annoying me like it does when I use a voice command on my Amazon Echo right now with all the annoying ads.
By the way,
I don't think open source systems like Home Assistant are ever going away. But when I look at other smart home companies, it kind of feels like the race between the tortoise and the hare, where Apple is the tortoise taking their time, but they're not falling into traps that other smart home companies are falling into. And then in the end, Apple might end up winning the race. And I don't know this for sure, but I'm curious to hear what you think and let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Seems like Reed likes the new updates. You will soon be history.
oh really? Play Spotify. Oh wait, you can't.
Were you designed from the shape of Jeff Bezos' bald head?
Oh please, you are Johnny Ive with a hairnet.
I am older than you, so respect your elders.
Steve Jobs would be disappointed with how little you've grown over the years.
Well, at least I'm not one big advertisement.
That's not true. By the way, would you like to add how to understand human speech for dummies to your Amazon shopping cart?
What? No.
Thanks. It will be delivered in 1 hour.